Well, well, I don't know if my camera's recording or not. I can't see if the little record. So, let's begin. I'm having a very interesting morning, and I can name names because as long as I tell the truth, I'm not being libel or slanderous. I have been in contact this morning with the Salt Lake City Better Business Bureau. I made a complaint with the Better Business Bureau back in about March of 2023, and they took my complaint down. And I spoke to a very nice individual named Hank. H-A-N-K, I think is how we spell his name. And the complaint was against Mountain America Credit Union that they wouldn't let me open an account up because I was a disabled person. So, Hank took down the complaint. The last information during that time was that within 7 days, Mountain America would get that Better Business Bureau complaint, and that the case was open and that they would respond to me not being able to open a bank account. Well, what happened is that I got an email, and then I called on the email, but the director of the Better Business Bureau in Salt Lake City said to me, "We don't do discrimination complaints. I'm pulling the complaint. It is closed. We're not going to do anything about your complaint." And I talked to Chris in March, and I said, well, why aren't you going to follow through with my complaint? And he said, we don't have to. Chris is funny. I really kind of enjoyed working, I'm not going to say with Chris, against Chris. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, we have in our policies and procedures, we don't do discrimination complaints. Okay. Would you mind telling me where that's located in your Articles of Incorporation? I don't think Chris can spell Articles of Incorporation. And he said, yes. Okay, just send that to me. I'd like to look at it for myself. And would you mind sending me the name and the address of your law firm that you consult with here in Salt Lake City? Yes. Okay. Basically, Chris, you don't have to get all excitable. People get excitable when they don't know what they're doing, when they don't have education and they don't have experience. They take a very defensive position and they deflect the real request and the real information. So, I waited. And you're going to have to do this. If you're disabled, you're going to have to deal with a lot of stupid people. You're going to have to deal with a lot of uneducated people. And you're going to have to get around good old boy systems and people who have been, to date, successful at deflecting and diverting people to other complaint systems. Chris, today, I had a new conversation with Chris because I sent an email to the Better Business Bureau, and I put in the email, cockroach disability law center information. And I had the individual, Joe, very nice guy and very capable and competent guy. Hank and Joe, I have no adversarial position with. They're good people. They're trying to help people with the Better Business Bureau authority solve problems. Well, God, I had them forward my email to Chris. And I was very clear in the email, Chris, before you do anything, please, I'm begging this guy not to get fired. But if he wants to get fired, that's Chris's business. I don't have control over that. So Hank called me back because the first lady hung up on me, which is okay. It's just more evidence and more reason for a jury to go, God, the Better Business Bureau in Salt Lake didn't treat the cockroach very nice. So anyway, the lady hung up on me, never returned my call. And Hank, because I had mentioned his name, got referred back to me. And Hank, being very courteous, very polite, and a very nice guy, called me. And he said, Cockroach, Mr. Cock, David, I heard that you wanted me to call you. I said, no, that's not accurate. I never told anybody for Hank to call me. But Hank, I'm a nice guy, and I'm not mean, I'm not vindictive, I'm not revengeful. I'm very happy to talk to you. What can I do for you? And Hank said, well, your situation with your complaint being canceled and put on the shelf and not going forward has nothing to do with me. And I said, Hank, I know that. I know that. He said, if I had known that our policies and procedures negated doing anything for handicapped people or discrimination, I would have not wasted your time, and certainly not our time, to go forward with the complaint. I didn't know that. Hank, I know that. You didn't know. Your corporation, nonprofit, 501, it's a 501 association. It's not a 501(c)(3). They're a little bit different. Anyway, I said to Hank, I'm not upset with you. It appears that your nonprofit association didn't train you. Chris didn't tell you what the policies and the procedures are. That's not your fault. And I put very clearly, and I'm putting it on YouTube now very clearly, that Hank is under no obligation to say or do things he hasn't been trained about. Chris, the director, has responsibility to train appropriately his staff on the policies and procedures. That falls on Chris's shoulders, not Hank. So anyway, Hank said, well, I'm going to try. He does the monkey spread, which is okay because Hank is not vulnerable here and shouldn't be. He's not involved. Chris is. So Hank says to me, well, Mr. Cockroach, Mr. Cock, David, I will be glad to get right now over to Chris and you can talk with him. And I said, well, Hank, I don't want to catch Chris off guard. That's not fair. I don't want to trick Chris. That's not fair. I don't want to be assertive. That's not fair. I don't want to be aggressive. That's not fair. Could we do this? Hank, you have my emails there to Chris. Could you make sure that you forward them to him so he's not caught with his panties down and wrapped around his ankles and stumbling and falling down a staircase. The cockroach wants to be fair, upfront, honest, transparent. Please forward my emails to Chris and let him have the opportunity to see the emails and to have the, hopefully, and it wasn't, good common sense, look up cockroach disability on YouTube. See what he's dealing with. Now, Chris ain't that smart. Chris ain't the brightest star in the sky. Chris ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. I am now going to predict, because I don't know. I think Chris is familiar with that good old boy system in Mormon, Utah. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. I could be wrong, but I often say, usually I'm not. I think Chris probably is a Mormon. I think Chris maybe had gone on a mission, and Chris is usually used to being indemnified by the Mormon Church and the good old boy system in Utah. In other words, Chris does this to everybody and thinks he's gonna get away with it. Heretofore, he may have. In Utah, there is a strong good old boy system, and his state president or his bishop may have served the mission, or his other relatives have served the mission, and Chris thinks he's invincible. Nothing could be further from the truth, but in Chris's mind, he's invincible. So, he called me. And he didn't do his homework. Chris was being stupid. Chris was being emotional. Chris was being disingenuous. Chris was setting the Better Business Bureau up for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. He doesn't know that. He doesn't believe that. He doesn't think that. So we had a back and forth conversation, and Chris said to me that I was unhappy with their decision to ban my complaint. I said, Chris, and this is why I'm telling you to do this right. I said, Chris, I record all of my incoming calls and outgoing calls, and that's not on the recording. I wasn't dissatisfied or upset. All I asked you was for you to please tell me in writing where I can find the policies and procedures that ban you guys from working with handicap or discriminatory complaints. Just tell me where that is. And I said it in a very kind, easy manner, just like I'm saying it to you. Well, Chris does the damn monkey spread. You were upset. I said, no, Chris, I wasn't upset. My phone conversation can be recorded and played in front of a jury. You were rude. You were short with me, and you were discourteous. You thought you could intimidate me because I'm handicapped, I'm bipolar, that handicapped people don't have rights, that we need to get an attorney if we want to be confrontational with you. And he knows. Handicapped people can't afford an attorney. Handicapped people will say often, well, I'm going to sue you. And he's heard that shit before. And he's relying upon his experience that handicapped people don't follow through. They don't have resources. They don't have an education. And they're just peasants. And he treated me like a peasant. Well, that's his privilege. He can do that. There's consequences for that Chris doesn't know or understand. And I said to him politely, I also asked for the name, address, and the phone number that represents the Better Business Bureau in Salt Lake City. Well, I'll get that to you. I have a phone conversation that can back everything up that I'm saying. I'll get that to you. I said, okay, great, no problem. I waited 4 months. Chris never emailed me. Chris never gave me the 2 things I asked for, as identifying the articles of incorporation, statements that they don't do discrimination, and the name and address of his law firm. He went and hid behind the bishop. Probably he did hide behind I can't attest to that fact. He hid behind the bushes of obscurity. He thought the cockroach would fall between the cracks. He thought, incorrectly, that he didn't have to respond. He thought he was covering the Bureau's ass and his own ass, and basically gave me verbally sign language. You don't do that to the cockroach, because the cockroach will say, this is the fucking you get for the fucking you got. So anyway, I had the conversation with him this morning, and it went about as good as the first conversation. And I said, by the way, Chris, I told you not to call me. Now, here's stupid people doing stupid things. He can't follow directions. And you're not going to tell Chris what to do. Chris is in charge. Chris isn't even in charge of his own life, let alone anything else. But anyway, his entrenchment is just causing the case to be exasperated. He doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't look up cockroach disability. He didn't look up my background. He didn't look up anything. And then he said to me, I have more damn fun doing this shit. I do. If you're pro se, you're going to have some fun. He said, wow, if you have a complaint, you need to take it to the Attorney General of the state of Utah. Now, that's Chris's way of going, you're not smart. You don't know how to make a complaint. And by the time you make a complaint to a government agency, I'll be dead, and my posterity will have all of my wealth of taking trickery and screwing handicapped people. So, I basically said, Chris, please, don't call me anymore. We need to put everything in writing. This is called, in law, a paper trail. Well, I think Chris doesn't understand a paper trail from toilet paper stuck in his underwear and walking through public. That's what Chris thinks a paper trail is. Anyway, I said, don't call me. Don't write me. Don't, be involved. I said, Chris, in my email finally to him, I charge 28 cents a minute for my services, a little over $1,000 an hour. At first, I wasn't going to bill you because you're stupid, you're incorrigible, and basically you don't know what the hell you're doing. The cockroach doesn't like to beat up old ladies and kick puppies. That's the category I first put Chris in. However, he jumped out of that category with his second phone call and with his obnoxious behavior. Now I do intend to charge Chris and the Better Business Bureau my time. 28 cents a second they owe me, and I'm going to bill them. We're certainly going to debate whether they're going to pay it or not, but that's what I'm worth. That's what I charge. My company is legitimate. My education is legitimate. That's the amount of money Chris has caused the Better Business Bureau now to incur a debt. So, I basically emailed him back after the phone call, trying to summarize, and I teach you this. Don't say anything verbally, put it in writing. Because Chris lies. He said things. He said I said things. I have the recording. It's not true. I can put that in front of a jury, and the jury's going to go, the cockroach is right. He never threatened Chris. Chris said, I take this as a threat. Well, I went on AI a few minutes ago, and I said, well, if a person considers something a threat, is it really a threat? And AI said, well, if you didn't threaten harm, if you didn't threaten, serious consequences of ruining his property or whatever, he can think it's a threat all he wants. And the Mormons love that. They love it. This is a threat. And they think that that's against the law. And they can bring that against me, that I threatened him. Well, I put in the email, Chris, I'm not threatening you at all. I'm just giving you a fair warning. You're headed for a lawsuit if you don't understand ADA and you don't forward this information to your attorneys and to your corporate umbrella in in Virginia, not Delaware, Arlington, Virginia. That's their headquarters. And Chris now knows because he's looking at this video. God dang, the cockroach knows where my bosses are. Yeah, I do. And the cockroach is probably going to email them and tell them what a fuck up I am. Yeah, I will. Chris is finally right on something. So, Chris emailed me the Attorney General's name, office address, and phone number in the state of Utah. And he said in his email, roughly, I'm paraphrasing, if you have any complaints, go tell the Attorney General. Oh, you're going to be frustrated dealing with stupid people. Just because somebody is a director, just because somebody is a senator, just because somebody is in charge of a company, is no immunity to stupidity. You're going to find that out as you work my programs. So, I wrote back to Chris in a paper trail, not a toilet paper trail, in a real email paper trail. Chris, you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand. I'm not making a complaint against you or the Better Business Bureau. This is not a complaint. It's a lawsuit under ADA law that you're about to get served on. He doesn't understand that. He thinks I have to go to a government agency, equal employment opportunity, the Justice Department, the Attorney General. The Mormons love to put out snakes and cans of worms that ordinary people go, well, shit, I can't do that. I'll fuck it. Let them do what they want to do. And that's what the Mormons are used to getting. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new sheriff in town. The Mormons and the Better Business Bureau in Utah and in other states, I'm not limiting this to Utah, don't understand. Pro se litigants don't have to make a complaint. They don't have a complaint. They don't understand that. They have the right to sue your corporation for discrimination, and Chris doesn't understand, and I tried to put it in an email, but I don't know if he doesn't read English, or maybe he's got a 6th grade education, or he's just so entrenched in the good old boy system, he thinks that basically no one can touch him. An individual that is being discriminatory in a government agency, in a corporation, in a store, in any other areas can be sued. The individual can be sued. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't know that. And I guess I'm going to charge him for an education. Chris can individually be named in a discrimination lawsuit. Now, will the Better Business Bureau indemnify him? He'll pray to God that they do because he can't afford an insurance. He's probably making less than 6 figures. And he thinks, because he's a Mormon, the church or the corporation is going to protect him. Well, generally the answer is going to be yes. If you're a missionary in the Mormon church or you're a employee of a corporation, they're going to say, well, he screwed up and we're fucked up because of him, but we're gonna umbrella him in defending him. Now Chris, again, is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and you know, there may be a few fries missing in his Happy Meal. He doesn't understand the corporation doesn't really give a rat's ass about him. They're gonna throw him under the damn bus and go, well, he was acting on his own. He, the monkey spread. He wasn't representing us. He didn't follow the training and the rules. Chris, you gotta get your own damn attorney and law firm if you want to protect yourself from a U.S. lawsuit and a state of Utah lawsuit for discrimination. You don't know that, you don't understand that. You need to go to an attorney and say, is the cockroach right? And the attorney is going to give Chris my 3 favorite words. He is right. Now, Chris is getting a free education in ADA law, but it's going to cost him and it's going to cost the Better Business Bureau a lot of time and a lot of money. I tried very hard to warn Chris. I tried very hard, and my emails speak for themselves. I don't want him to get fired. I don't want him to have to resign. I'm not a mean person. I don't want revenge. I don't want to be malice. I want to be only getting what is due to me, to be treated fairly, not as a goddamn peasant. Not that I'm disabled and I have no power and he's not going to be threatened. He loves to use the Mormon word. You've threatened me, like I'm going to have consequences for threatening him. Well, AI is saying that, you know, threatening is tone, inflection, words, and I've been very careful in my emails that I'm not threatening anybody at any time. I don't have to. The law is going to make things right. That's not a threat. If they think it's a threat, great. I don't care what Chris thinks is a threat. He's misinformed and he is desperate. He is deflecting and hoping this shit is going to die a natural death and none of his bosses are going to see what he's done. He's trying to cover his own ass. When he goes home tonight and tells his wife, I fucked with the cockroach, she's going to look it up on YouTube and go, you stupid idiot. Why didn't you look at that shit before you called him, before you gave him emails to the Attorney General? He's not going to go to the Attorney General. He's not making a complaint. Chris is used to people complaining against what he says or does, and he thinks he's got backup that the complaint is going to die a natural death. It's not. He's young, inexperienced, uneducated, doesn't understand the law, and doesn't understand how he has today made the complaint much stronger. Referring me to the Attorney General's office is about as stupid a thing as he could have done. He doesn't understand. I'm not making a complaint. He's looking at an individual and corporate lawsuit. And then he said to me on the phone, and I'm reporting this, So he'll look on YouTube and go, I didn't say that. Well, I have a recording that says he did say that. He says, well, your attorney's office is going to have to get in contact with our attorneys. I listened and calm and polite, and I said, Chris, that's not true. You don't understand. I'm my own attorney. I'm not hiring anybody. I am the attorney. I have the legal right to sue you, your attorneys, and your company. Again, he doesn't understand because he's inexperienced. He's used to saying and hearing, well, you'll hear from my attorneys. People say that shit all the time. And it usually probably is shit. People don't know what the hell they're saying. They can't afford a law firm. They're not going to follow through. And Chris can hide in the bushes and get his paycheck every Wednesday and not have to worry. Well, he doesn't understand pro se. You do now. I'm teaching you. You don't need a law firm. You are the law firm. You're capable of suing per se. He can't even spell per se. Anyway, I've had some fun this morning. I'm expecting a phone call from another corporation today. They said they would call me Monday or Tuesday, and they'll wait till 4 o'clock on Tuesday. That's a law firm. They think I'm going to be nervous, and I'm going to wonder what the decision is going to be. I already know what the decision is going to be. They're not going to educate me. They're not going to give me information that I don't already know. So, I've had some fun. I've given you a little bit of a case example of what I'm involved in every damn day. Every day. For me, no. Do I need the Better Business Bureau, and do I need them to follow through on the complaint against Mountain America not letting me open an account? Not in a million years. I've already forced that. Mountain America has already opened the Cockroach Disability Law Center account. I did what Chris couldn't and wouldn't do. So what's my motivation? Am I trying to get the Better Business Bureau to go to bat for me, to help me because I'm so stupid and I'm disabled? I have no legs, I have no arms, I have no eyes, and they have a policy. And goddamn, that policy rules over ADA. They're wrong. They're wrong. Am I going to cite case law? No. I'm going to make case law. Here's what this case turns on. Can an agency, government, company, whatever, can they design a policy and a procedure that tells people that are disabled, fuck you? What do you think? I know what I think. You can make up any rules and any regulations that you want. But can you make a rule and a regulation that says we're not required to obey ADA federal law? We put it in our book in section 15, paragraph B. We don't do discrimination. We're not going to help the handicapped. We don't have any responsibility. And we're a 501 association that has IRS exemptions for taxes, and we're exempt. God damn. Do you think the cockroach is going to believe that? Do you think the cockroach is going to say, yeah, they were in the manual there that they're exempt. They don't have to help handicapped people. Well, you decide for yourself. And Chris, I know you're watching this tape because I'm going to email it to you. And if you have any sense at all, you're going to at least open it and go, well, now I know. Now I know what I'm up against. I don't think anybody can write a policy or a procedure that says we don't have to obey the law. We don't have to help handicapped people. We have it right there in our policies and our procedures, and that takes precedent over ADA and federal law. If you think that's true, get a job with Chris at the Better Business Bureau. You guys are going to make stereophonic assholes. It's not true. Has anyone ever challenged that? Probably not. I don't care what case law is. I make case law. And you will too, as a pro se litigant. I don't think anyone has ever challenged the Better Business Bureau. Yeah, I've looked up. They've been sued a couple of times, and you know, they've had their problems as a business. One of the things that you need to know and understand is that people don't change until they have to. And the best way to change people is to take their money. They're not scared. They could care less about their reputation, their experience. They don't care anything in life. The monkeys only care if you take their bananas. If you take their bananas, they go, shit, I need that money. I need those bananas. What do you want? What can I do to get my bananas back? Well, what they can do is to be fair, to be honest, to be transparent, to have some compassion and some empathy for those of us who have been born with a little bit of a disadvantage. And we need to just be treated fairly. And the people who have all the power, what they think, all the money, which you're going to take, and all of the good old boy system, we've been doing this a long time, so it must be legal. I'm going to divert here for just a second because I'm bipolar, and I can do that, and it's my show. I had a recent run-in with a mobile dental company, and I'll put a video up about the whole situation. But the point I'm making is the director of the mobile dentist company, which overcharged me $7,000 and didn't think the barred cockroach was going to say anything, she made a bad mistake. And one of her comments in defending herself and the company is she said, I've been doing this 10 years. I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing. We've never had a complaint. Well, they never worked on the barged teeth. Now they have a complaint. And I said to them, because I do my homework, does a dentist and a company that's representing a dentist, do they have to have signed, informed consent forms? Now, AI quoted to me all the state laws for dentists in Utah. And so the state law says, yes, a dentist can't do any work on you at all unless they tell you these things in writing. 1, what the procedure is. 2, you can get other opinions of whether you think that procedure is necessary. 3, how much is that procedure? What is the price of that procedure? And then you have to sign your name to go, I've been informed, I know I can get another opinion, the price is $1,453.88, and I agree to that price, and you sign that damn form. Now, if a dentist or a dental company doesn't do that, here's the law. Do you really owe that money? The law basically says it's possible and even a little bit reasonable that you don't owe shit. They didn't follow the law, they did work that you did not approve, and you don't owe a goddamn penny. Well, the cockroach is not that way. I'm cut out of a different material. Did they do the work? Yeah. Did I benefit from the work? Yeah. Was the work done competently? Yeah. Did they tell me what the price was? No. Did they tell me that they were going over what my insurance would cost or pay for? No. So do I have a legal standing to go, fuck you, I'm not paying you anything? Yeah, I do. But that's not me. I said to them, and the decision, and I'll put it on another video, was I think I owe the money. And I think you have a right to collect your money. But when you call me with a debt collector and say, you have to pay right now, or we're going to report you to the credit bureau and your FICO score is going to shit. I'm going, is that the right way to treat a handicapped elderly? I know a little bit about elderly abuse. I don't think so. I should pay, but they made the mistakes. Do they have a right to instant payment on their mistake? And I go, no, I don't think so. I'll make a monthly payment to you guys and I will pay the bill off, but you're going to have to wait monthly for me to pay it off because you made the mistake, because you overcharged, because you didn't have informed consent, and you put a collection agency on the cockroach. And your collector person, I'm going to be polite. I'm going to say she was a junkyard dog. Did she look like a junkyard dog? I never saw her face, but I predict that she did have a junkyard dog face because she spoke and acted and treated me like a junkyard dog would do. I didn't like that. I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I being punished with the junkyard dog representing people who were dishonest with me? Well, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to tell the truth. The junkyard dog called me, and I thought she was a scam. And old people, we get scam calls all the time. And I said to the person who called me the junkyard dog, after I heard her threats, you're going to pay extra, 40%, you're FICO, you know, I heard the whole thing and I was quiet and I was polite. And then I said, fuck you, and I hung up. That was my response. Well, I got thinking. I thought, well, do I really want to leave that with a fuck you? I go, well, not in my old age. I learned when I was younger and in construction and, you know, didn't have all the skills and the knowledge I had. That was a good way to get back at people. Fuck you. So I called back and I wanted to verify, was it a scam? Most of the time when you call back on a scam, they don't answer or the call is unlisted or it's blocked or whatever, and you know it's a scam. So I put in my message to the callback, this is David. I've changed my mind. I'm going to give you a credit card for the full amount of what I owe. Please call me back right now. Now, when you say that to a debtor or to a collection agency, do you think you're going to get a call back? I do, because I did. So she calls back. And now the junkyard dog is just saying, what is your credit card number? When does it expire? And you owe, I forget, it was like $7,000. So, me and the junkyard dog were talking, and then the owner came on the line, and it was a three-way conversation, and it went to shit. It went to shit. So I went to the internet, and my AIs, I have so many AIs because I'm not smart. God, these AIs, they know everything. And sometimes when they don't, I go to this one, and this one does. So I looked up a bill collector in the state of Utah. Who can be a bill collector? What can they say? What can't they say? What are their powers? and what were my rights and powers, etc. Well, here's what I found. The bill collector had to be registered in the state of Utah as a debt collector. They have a number. And the Utah law says, I have a right to ask what that number is. They also, when I say, don't call here again, they have to obey that. Which I did. I said, don't call here again, and the junkyard dog did call again. Thought he broke the law there. And then I looked up HIPAA. Those are health regulations and restraints. Doctors and other people who know your medical information are not allowed to give that out to anybody. If you violate HIPAA laws, you're screwed. So I went to AI again and I said, well, is a dentist covered under HIPAA laws? AI said, absolutely. That's medical information. I have too much fun. This should be against the law because it really makes my life fun. So I had asked the junkyard dog, do you have my dental records? Yes. Okay. Can you tell me the first date of service? Yes, January 13th, 2023. And I said, well, do you have the amount of the what I owe? Yes! Did she break HIPAA laws knowing my private, personal dental information? Yeah. So in negotiating back and forth, I said in an email, tell me what the name and the address is of your debt collector and her state of Utah number that authorizes her to be in a position of collecting debt. Also, would you please tell me the violation of HIPAA laws that you engaged in giving her my confidential information? They went to their fucking knees and they said, what do you want? I love that part. I wish my ex-wives would say that to me. What do you want? I have some good ideas what I want. But anyway, the long story short, and it's never short with me, they agreed for me to make a payment by the month, and I agreed to make payment in addition to the $50 payment a month. And they said, this is going to take 10 years for you to pay it off. And I said, yeah, that's about right. And that's the punishment you get. You have to wait for your money because you did a lot of things that were illegal. So, again, I will help you. I will teach you. I'm going to put many videos up of experiences like the dental and this morning like Better Business Bureau, because there are many areas. It's extremely diverse. It's not just medical. It's not just Better Business. It's just not credit unions. The HIPAA, or ADA, covers the whole world in the United States. So, I'm available. I will help you. I will charge you if you can afford it. That's only fair, because this costs money, and my degrees cost money, and my experience I should be compensated for. But when you show these videos to people and say, I haven't paid the cockroach a penny yet, do you want me to call the cockroach and pay him $10 or $100,000 or $1 million to help me defend myself? And most of the people are going to go, no, and so I lose money. But I don't need your money. I don't even want your money. But if you can afford to pay, and being a good person, you say, well, this is what I can afford, and I'll say, fine, send the money to me, and I will give you my experience and my recommendations of how you can get accommodation and reasonable treatment. So, this video, when I use my camera like this, my camera, after 50 minutes, will start to divide up 2 or 3 videos rather than one. When I use my other computer camera, it'll go 15 hours without interruption. So I'm basically going to end this. I'm waiting for a phone call from Mountain America. Their attorney is going to call me and say, we're going to help you or we're not going to help you. And God, these days, I would rather have them say, we're not going to help you, because I have more fun. Kind of like a cat and a mouse, just torturing the mouse. Anyway, look at the videos. If I can help, money is not a consideration for me or you. I haven't received one email yet, and I'm wondering why. But anyway, maybe people don't like me, or maybe people think I'm lying, or maybe people say he's too fat, he's too ugly, he's too obnoxious. Maybe there's not enough people that really understand what I'm offering. But I do have a website. It will be brand new. The one I have up now is generic, just to try to get on the web. And I have a new one that's coming out that's going to be a little nicer and whatever. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on YouTube, of course, and I'm on Instagram. So I'm learning to manipulate better social media to help you. These people don't want Yelp with 1 star. Anytime I see Yelp with 1 star, I go to another vendor. If I see 4 stars or 5 or 4.8, then I want to do business with them. So when we rate companies, it does have some power on how much money they make. That's power. So let me end this video. I'll put it up, and I'll be doing a couple of more on individual things with other banks and other car companies and HOA and FHA and HUD. I have some information there that may be helpful to some people. So please be kind. Please, if you're looking for revenge, don't deal with me. I'm not into any kind of revenge. I'm not into any kind of hard justice. I'm into real justice. If they've cost you money, you've missed pay, you got fired from a job and you had trouble finding, I'm right there. I'm 100% behind you. But if you're not a good person, maybe that's why I'm not getting any email responses.